energy, Burkina's move could set a precedent for other nations. It's a strategic long-term play that goes beyond politics. It's about powering schools, hospitals, and future industries. This story was first reported by Construct Africa News. So, how big of a deal is this? Let's break it all down. Burkina Faso's nuclear ambitions. Burkina Faso, guided forward, led by President Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, is taking decisive steps into the nuclear energy sphere. The formation of a national nuclear agency signals an ambitious pivot, driven by the recognition that sustainable and reliable power is foundational to economic resilience. Traoré's leadership has been pivotal in fast-tracking policies that position the country to leapfrog traditional energy constraints. Statistics from early 2025 show electricity access hovering at around 25% nationwide, with rural regions significantly underserved. In close-knit communities where grid expansion is slow, the idea of centralized nuclear power is already igniting optimism. Under Ibrahim Traoré's direction, the agency isn't merely an academic exercise. It's tasked with forging partnerships with international nuclear bodies, ensuring safety, training skilled personnel, and securing funding. This comprehensive integration, orchestrated by Traoré's administration, underscores a holistic vision to anchor Burkina Faso's future on clean, dependable energy.
We start with Burkina Faso. The West African nation has formalized a major nuclear agreement with Russia. Now, Russia's state nuclear giant, Rosatom, will now collaborate with Ibrahim Traoré-led Burkina Faso to develop nuclear infrastructure for peaceful purposes. The announcement was made by Burkina Faso's Minister of Energy, Yakuba Zabre, and this during a media interview where he said that the deal represents the final administrative step in a broader framework of nuclear cooperation between the two countries. Now, the agreement aims to help Burkina Faso to diversify its energy sources and to address the country's chronic electricity shortages. Burkina Faso is one of the world's least electrified countries. Under the deal, Rosatom will support the construction of nuclear power plants, research reactors, and will...
By aligning with global best practices and harnessing nuclear science, the country can reduce reliance on expensive fossil fuel imports and vulnerable hydroelectric systems prone to Sahelian droughts. As Traoré champions this initiative, young engineers and scientists are being mobilized through scholarship programs, scholarships negotiated overseas, and intensive STEM curricula. These investments underscore the country's determination to develop homegrown expertise. The agency's multidisciplinary focus, spanning regulatory frameworks, waste management, and public communication, reflects a strategic design woven under Traoré's leadership to balance ambitious energy targets with environmental and safety responsibilities. Regional impact on Sahelian power dynamics. Building upon Traoré's bold vision, Burkina Faso's nuclear agency could recalibrate the entire Sahel region's energy landscape. Neighboring countries, Mali, Niger, and Ghana, are watching closely as Traoré's government moves from power deficit to power promise. Currently, regional electricity access rates vary widely. Niger's stands at about 20%, Mali's at approximately 44%, and Ghana's at a robust 89%, but still battling shortages intermittently. If Burkina Faso begins channeling nuclear-generated electricity, regional grid interconnections could multiply, enabling stable cross-border supply.
Ask a question now: how can Africa secure its energy future? That was the key question raised at the Nuclear Energy Innovation Summit for Africa held in Kigali, Rwanda, an event organized in partnership with the International Atomic Energy Agency and the UN Economic Commission for Africa. And part of the answer may lie in nuclear innovation. Our correspondent Juliette Montilly reports from the summit.
More than 600 million people in Africa still live without access to electricity. And with the continent's population expected to triple by the end of the century, pressure on energy resources is only set to grow. One option considered during the summit is nuclear power. Civilian nuclear energy is being seen as one of the keys to meeting Africa's future demographic, climate, and economic challenges.
We have not yet scratched the surface of the potential of nuclear energy in Africa. Therefore, we need to start industrial relationships.
Ibrahim Traoré's administration is already conducting talks with regional power pools to utilize excess capacity. Imagine a scenario where Burkina Faso doesn't just feed its own cities, but powers clinics in rural Niger or drives agro-processing in southern Mali. Under Traoré's plan, economies of scale emerge. Higher output in one country supports infrastructure in another. This cooperation could stimulate joint investments in high-voltage transmission lines, harmonized regulatory frameworks, and shared training centers, embodying Traoré's commitment to regional integration. Critics might question nuclear's costs or suitability in rural Sahelian settings, but Traoré's leadership answers with a compelling case. Nuclear energy supplies stable, high-density power that enhances irrigation, supports telecom expansion, and undergirds modern logistics chains. While solar has its place, and Burkina Faso continues to invest in decentralized solar microgrids, nuclear energy under Traoré is positioned as the backbone infrastructure. By catalyzing partnerships with ECOWAS and regional development banks, Traoré's vision extends beyond national borders. The establishment of a nuclear agency is, in his view, a diplomatic tool as much as an energy solution. Economic opportunities, jobs, and skills pipeline. Economic transformation follows Traoré's nuclear ambitions, with the new agency lighting pathways to job creation and skill acquisition. Nuclear infrastructure requires a workforce ranging from mechanical and civil engineers to nuclear physicists, radiation safety officers, and lab technicians. Burkina Faso has, under Traoré's leadership, initiated scholarship programs for students to pursue nuclear engineering in globally reputed universities. Partner institutions in France, Canada, and South Korea are set to host trainee cohorts later this year, with return of service agreements mandating their contribution to the national program. Further, Traoré's government has rolled out vocational training centers across Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso. These centers provide programs in nuclear instrumentation, waste management, cybersecurity, and reactor maintenance. Local businesses in areas like steel fabrication, cement production, and precision machining are aligning to meet the infrastructure needs of reactor construction.
This is across the nuclear fuel cycle. The deal follows Russia's approval last week of similar nuclear arrangements with Mali, another junta-led neighbor in the Sahel region. For Moscow, these agreements are a part of a larger strategy to strengthen its footprint in Africa. Though through Reshaping, Russia has been expanding its nuclear presence across the continent. Apart from Sahel, it has struck deals with countries including Egypt, South Africa, Rwanda, and Sudan for reactors, power plants, and uranium mining projects. Experts say these deals are designed to advance Moscow's geopolitical interests, allowing Vladimir Putin to build strategic alliances and gain resource access, as well as circumvent Western sanctions. Now, Russia offers financing, technical training, and infrastructure development, a package that is highly appealing to African states that are witnessing energy shortages. This strategy is particularly effective in Francophone countries, many of which are turning away from traditional Western partners and toward Moscow.
Traoré's leadership model embraces public-private collaboration. Local startups and international contractors are bidding for supply chain roles, from reactor parts to fuel storage. The anticipated spending of hundreds of millions of dollars on nuclear projects will infuse capital into regional economies, boosting local procurement and technology transfer. Traoré has also directed funds to micro-enterprise schemes designed to support reactor site communities. Small businesses providing food services, housing, and transportation to plant staff are flourishing. In essence, the nuclear agency is not only an engineering effort, but an ecosystem builder. By linking advanced technical training with economic empowerment, Traoré's leadership is ensuring that the big headlines, "nuclear reactors coming," translate into tangible benefits for engineers and entrepreneurs alike. Safety, regulation, and international cooperation. At the heart of Traoré's drive is a commitment to nuclear safety and stringent regulatory practices. The newly formed agency is modeled after international best-in-class regulators, like France's ASN and Canada's CNSC. Its structure comprises inspectorates, licensing divisions, and emergency preparedness units, staffed by newly trained specialists. Ibrahim Traoré's leadership ensures the regulatory framework is robust from day one. Burkina Faso has already signed technical cooperation agreements with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, providing inspectors and peer evaluators to help validate safety protocols. Traoré's government has invited IAEA missions to conduct Integrated Regulatory Review Service, IRRS, evaluations next quarter, an important step to obtain certification and public trust. Parallel to regulation, emergency preparedness is thoroughly integrated. National drills, mock evacuations, and community education campaigns are being conducted under Traoré's mandate. These include simulations involving off-site personnel, hospitals, and media. Radiological monitoring stations are being installed in potential reactor zones, with real-time data feeding directly into online dashboards. Traoré's leadership orchestrates transparency. Public information sessions now happen monthly, with town halls explaining radiation basics, reactor function, and contingency plans. Local journalists receive training to report responsibly, countering misinformation. Furthermore, cross-border cooperation is underway. Mali and Niger have been offered satellite access to Burkina Faso's radiological networks, reinforcing regional nuclear safety. Research collaborations are also brewing. The nuclear agency, under Traoré's guidance, is negotiating joint studies with South African and Nigerian universities on radioactive isotope applications in medicine and agriculture, clean energy transition, and climate impact. In the global fight against climate change, Ibrahim Traoré's government positions nuclear energy as a cornerstone of Burkina Faso's clean energy transition. Despite low per capita emissions, Burkina Faso is vulnerable to extreme weather, droughts, and erratic rains that threaten agriculture and hydroelectric power. Traoré's initiative integrates nuclear to reduce carbon footprints while enhancing energy security. Recent data shows that if Burkina Faso brings even a small modular reactor, SMR, online, its CO2 emissions intensity could drop by 10 to 15% by 2030.
Global cooperation with international institutions such as the International Atomic Energy Agency. So we put in place the necessary legal, regulatory, safety, and other conditions so that we put the foundation to build value addition in the nuclear industry.
South Africa is currently the only country on the continent operating nuclear power reactors, and nuclear energy accounts for only about 5% of the country's electricity mix. But more and more African nations are showing interest and laying the foundations for future civilian programs. International cooperation is ramping up, with major powers vying for influence. Russia, through its state-owned company Rosatom, is already active in Rwanda, focusing on scientific cooperation and training. And the United States has signed an agreement with Ghana to help develop small modular reactors. One of the key innovations highlighted at the summit is precisely small modular reactors.
The nuclear agency is collaborating with climate analysts to quantify these impacts. Traoré emphasizes that nuclear complements solar and wind. Solar projects in Sahelian zones remain vital, with over 200 megawatts of new capacity planned under his administration. But solar and wind are intermittent. Traoré argues that nuclear baseload capability stabilizes the grid, allowing renewables to scale without jeopardizing supply. This integrated model under Traoré's vision ensures energy decarbonization is systematic and reliable. The agency's resource plan includes a hybrid model. Nuclear pilots near grid hubs feed continuous power, supporting renewable generation on outer nodes. The result? A cleaner, more resilient grid architecture. Traoré is also steering the nuclear program toward carbon finance opportunities. The carbon reduction profile attracts green bonds and climate funds, leveraged under his leadership. Proceeds can finance off-grid solar in villages, create resilient water systems, and fund climate-smart agriculture. In effect, Burkina Faso's nuclear agency becomes a climate accelerator. Public engagement and countering skepticism. Nuclear projects often spark public anxiety, but under Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso's nuclear agency is shifting the conversation toward community empowerment. The agency is launching an inclusive communications campaign designed to bring citizens into the nuclear narrative, demystifying technical concepts and addressing safety concerns. Town hall events are being held in provinces near proposed reactor sites, featuring interactive exhibits on radiation, reactor control, and emergency response. Under Traoré's direction, communities are also offered local reference groups, panels that include teachers, healthcare workers, farmers, and religious figures. These groups receive training and act as liaison points, ensuring voices from the ground feed into project decisions. Preliminary surveys in targeted communities suggest growing support, with over 60% now viewing nuclear energy positively. Traoré's strategy incorporates youth engagement. An annual Nuclear Innovation Challenge invites high school teams to propose applications of isotopes in medicine or agri-food tech. Winning teams earn scholarships and grants, reinforcing Traoré's message that nuclear is not remote or elite, but future-facing and accessible. Media outreach also plays a key role. The agency, under Traoré, sponsors story packages on national TV and radio, featuring local electricians explaining grid resilience or health workers discussing isotope-based diagnostics. Journalists are given hands-on training in covering nuclear topics safely and accurately. By creating this ecosystem of informed stakeholders, Traoré's leadership diffuses fear and fosters co-ownership. The focus shifts. Nuclear energy becomes not a distant technology, but a community tool for development. Engagement processes include feedback channels, hotlines, online forums, and suggestion boxes, ensuring responsive governance. Medical and agricultural applications of nuclear science. Under Ibrahim Traoré's transformative agenda, Burkina Faso's nuclear agency extends beyond electricity, unlocking applications in healthcare and agriculture that can elevate quality of life nationwide. The agency has outlined initiatives to expand radiology and nuclear medicine in urban hospitals, detecting cancers early with affordable gamma cameras and isotopic tracers. Traoré's leadership secured international partnerships, like the IAEA's PACT program, to train radiologists, establish isotope labs, and ensure reliable supply chains for short-lived isotopes. As part of this drive, medical schools in Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso are integrating nuclear medicine modules into their curricula. Scholarships under Traoré's government support around 50 students annually to specialize in radiochemistry or medical physics, with the mandate to return and serve locally. Meanwhile, in agriculture, the nuclear agency is deploying radiation-based techniques to enhance food safety and crop resilience. Under Traoré's oversight, pilot programs at the National Agricultural Research Station use irradiation to eliminate pests in grains, prioritizing rice, millet, and sorghum, essential staples. The result: longer shelf life, fewer post-harvest losses, and reduced pesticide use. The agency's Soil Science Division, spearheaded by Ibrahim Traoré's strategic coordination, employs nuclear tracers to study nutrient uptake and optimize fertilizer use. Preliminary results show 20% efficiency gains in nitrogen use, a game changer in resource-limited rural farms. These agricultural shifts not only boost productivity, but also link smallholder farmers to larger markets, where standards for irradiated, pest-free food fetch premiums. Market access is further enhanced by the agency's certification services, regionally recognized labels indicating radiation-tested goods. Traoré's model of integrating nuclear science into health and agriculture demonstrates multiplicative utility. It ties modern technology to everyday needs: clean water, healthy crops, timely cancer diagnosis, benefiting city and village alike.
Deepened dramatically in the past year, not just in energy, but also in security. The country has expelled French troops and is now working closely with Russia to fight Islamist insurgencies. In May, Burkina Faso's military leader, Ibrahim Traoré, met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow and called for stronger military ties. Traoré said his country has many projects lined up with the Russian Defense Ministry. Now, as Burkina Faso pursues a strategic realignment, its partnership with Russia signals a broader shift across the Sahel, where military-led governments are looking for new partners for energy, security, and development support. Now, for more on this, we have with us Beverly Ochieng, who is a senior analyst at Control Risks, joining us live from Senegal, Dakar.
Financing the nuclear vision and scaling up. All the promise of nuclear transformation coalesces under Traoré's financial roadmap. Traoré's administration has crafted a multi-tiered funding strategy combining government budgets, international financing, and private capital. The backbone is a sovereign green bond launched in March 2025, raising $500 million with proceeds earmarked for reactor infrastructure, training hubs, and regulatory systems. This was enabled by Burkina Faso's improved fiscal performance under Traoré, with debt to GDP dipping from 51% in 2023 to 47% in 2025, an achievement tied to austerity measures and growth in mining tax revenues. On the international front, the nuclear agency, supported by Traoré's office, is negotiating concessional loans from the African Development Bank, Afreximbank, and the French AFD. Early terms indicate sub-2% interest rates, with 20-year tenors. Traoré's leadership also solicits technology partners under public-private partnerships. Companies from South Korea and Russia are set to co-invest in modular reactor deployment under build-operate-transfer arrangements. In exchange, Burkina Faso contributes equity via a special asset fund established by the nuclear agency under Traoré's directive. European utility companies are also signaling interest via integrated power purchase agreements. Taken together, Traoré's funding model is diversified and sustainable. It separates capital access from political cycles and balances public accountability with investor confidence. The agency, tracing strict financial transparency protocols mandated by Traoré, will publish biannual audits, ensuring donors and bondholders can track impact. Once the pilot plant proves reliable, plans are in motion for a second, larger reactor by 2030, potentially doubling capacity. With its new nuclear agency in place, Burkina Faso is positioning itself to be a future leader in Africa's clean energy transformation. The challenges ahead are massive: regulation, safety, funding, but the ambition is even bigger. If successful, this could position the country as a pioneer in Africa's clean energy transformation and inspire a continental shift toward atomic power. The world is watching, and so is the region. Special thanks to Construct Africa News for reporting this significant development. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and sound off in the comments. Could this be the start of a new wave of nuclear energy adoption across Africa?